Can I ask you a question? If your household income dropped suddenly, would you have a plan of what to do next? Not because you're planning for divorce, not because you don't trust your husband, but because life has so many unexpected things that occur. And you want to make sure that you feel financially confident and secure to move through life. Too many married women and stay-at-home moms feel financially trapped. And it has nothing to do with having a terrible spouse. If anything, it's just that they aren't knowledgeable about what financial options are available to them. If we've never met, hi, I'm Jasmine. I help wives and moms create their own passive income stream through educating them on dividend stock investing as well as other financial opportunities. I believe that investing should be practical and something seamless for women to learn. That's why I break down all things with investing in a way that women can feel confident and secure in their finances for their families. Motherhood changes everything. Before the kids, if you needed extra money, maybe you could pick up a new shift or start a side hustle. But after kids, it's definitely different. You don't have the time, capacity, or energy to be able to work more. Every extra hour that you spend working takes away from being able to be present with your children. If you want to have dinner with them, put them down for bedtime, take them to activities. And truthfully, when I hear people tell moms that they just need to work more, it actually lets me know that people don't realize that motherhood is already a full-time job. That's why I teach investing as a way for wives and moms to have just a little bit more freedom so that you can focus on the things that are most important with your children. For me, this is deeply personal. I had my son and it changed everything. I was so used to being the girl boss. I built the multiple six-figure business, but then I found myself feeding my son around the clock while breastfeeding and having my husband work a demanding job. I couldn't move through life as I had before through staying up all night or deciding to create something completely new. I needed to have another alternative. And while I had dabbled in investing just a little, once I had my son, I turned up the dial because I knew if I could continue to grow in that way, I would be able to bring in more money effortlessly. Meaning, all I needed to do was purchase a stock that gave dividends, have them come in on a weekly, monthly, quarterly, or yearly basis, and that would allow me the time, space, and opportunity to be able to live life. No longer was I going to beat myself up about not being able to have the energy that I once had and to do this and to do that. I had another person depending on me, and I wasn't going to let something stop me, such as this society that tells mom to spend all of their time at work, but then you have to be the perfect mom. That's not easy. And I knew that there was another way out. And that's why I dive so deeply into this with my platforms and serving mothers. And I'll be honest, I've had lots of conversations with other moms. And even though they may have the best husbands that are making amazing money, they still feel like they can't bring in the income they would like because their lives are dedicated and centered around their children. Investing is one way to be able to do that without sacrificing motherhood. Now, let's be honest. If something were to happen in your finances, do you have an idea of what your next step would be? Do you know how much money that you have? What about your investments? How would you pay for expenses? These are things we need to be aware of. And a lot of women who are stay at home moms are blind to what's happening behind the scenes, leaving everything to their spouses to take care of. And they don't have the knowledge and power to make strong decisions for their own financial futures. To be completely honest, you don't need to be a financial expert when it comes to understanding your finances and investing. But here are 5 things you need to know as a wife and a mom when it comes to money. Number 1, you are going to want to know how the stock market works. The stock market is essentially an opportunity for businesses to bring in more money to fund their business. That is why you become a shareholder whenever you are buying a stock. So, an example of this is if you were going to purchase an Apple stock. You would select that stock on the platform of your choice, and you become a shareholder who has even a vote and a voice in how the company operates. Once you make that purchase, what's really neat about it is if there are profits that are available, you can receive profits from that payout with a dividend yield. That is a percentage that is given out to each shareholder from that stock. Let's say you have a $25 stock and the dividend yield is 6%. What will happen there is you will receive approximately 43 cents for every stock that you hold. That is actually a great amount of money, because if you were to just put that inside of a savings account, you probably wouldn't even get that much in a year. These dividends typically pay out whether weekly, monthly, quarterly, or annually. Within my Her Exit Plan stock list, I actually give you all of the stocks that have been able to help me get paid every single week from dividend investing. Number 2, there is a huge difference between saving and investing. Saving is for your life emergencies, money that you really don't want to have to touch unless you absolutely have to. It's your go-to cash flow, planning for your future. Investing is where you're able to use money that you can stand to go without. That's why I encourage moms to start off with as little as $5 to $10 when it comes to investing. You don't need thousands of dollars to be able to start. The goal is consistency and having the habits of investing so you can see those long-term returns. Number 3, as I've mentioned, dividend companies are those that decide to pay out profits to their shareholders. This is a great way to build wealth long term. And I do want to add in that let's say you've decided you want to continue investing even the profits that you are receiving. So in my example before, I mentioned that $25 stock, you might get 43 cents on it if the dividend yield is about 6%. You can automatically join the DRIP program. That is a direct reinvesting program where shareholders can essentially take their profits and reinvest back into the company. And what happens is when you do that, you're beginning to have a larger and larger share. And because of that, you will find yourself being able to get a larger piece of the pie in profits. Number 4, let's talk about EFTs. An EFT is an exchange traded fund. That is an opportunity for you to purchase multiple stocks that perform relatively well, and those are going to stabilize your investment and give you a sense of diversification. So you're not just investing in one single stock. These are good for long-term gains, and especially if you're not the type of person who wants to do day trading or even deal with volatility in the market. EFTs are a great start for that. Number 5, you are going to want to do research on the stocks that you are investing in, because you need to be aware of what is available to you in terms of any profits, prices, how the company is performing, as well as any risk involved. There are 3 questions that I typically use when I'm getting ready to purchase a stock. Is the business financially healthy? I need to know if this business has performed well and been profitable. And if it's not profitable, I need to figure out why, what's happening behind the scenes. This is really good to go into the app of your choice that you use to invest and open your brokerage account. You can do a bit of research there to find out that information in their prospectus, as well as doing a Google search to help find that information. The second question that I have is the business scalable? And what I mean by that is, does the business have plans to increase their revenue by lowering their cost of overhead? A lot of companies are not always as profitable because they are having to pay out so many expenses for operating the business. You want to invest in businesses that have the plan to take their business further with a lot less money being spent in the process. That might look like they have plans to utilize different tools that are more cost efficient. They may look at cutting back on certain things to make sure that those profitability margins are in alignment with the company's overall income goals. And the last question that I asked myself is, would I still believe in this company's future even if it did not move in the stock market today? That is a very strong question that you want to ask yourself. When you think about companies like Coca-Cola, Microsoft, Apple, those companies have been around for quite a bit of time. And those companies are typically very stable in their profitability, but they weren't always like that. You have to be willing to look at that particular stock and think about where you see it headed. Are they solving people's problems? And are they making people aware that they solve those problems and doing it well with excellence? That is going to help you know if you should invest in any stock. Now, I want to say this. I don't invest because I'm worried about something bad happening. I invest because I want my future, as well as my children's future, to be amazing. And in order for that to happen, we do have to have money to cover life's expenses. I also want to say that it is so beneficial to have financial education for you and your spouse. You don't have to be intimidated by it, and neither does your husband. Healthy marriages thrive on having amazing information being shared so that you all can enjoy the fruits of your labor when it comes to finances. Building assets isn't about preparing to leave your husband. It's about making sure you all can come together and be in control when life doesn't give you as many options as you had hoped for. Now, let's be clear. This is not an overnight process. It does take time to build those income producing assets. But if you take one step at a time, you will get there and it will be worth it. If you're a stay-at-home mom or wife and you heard this video and you're thinking, Jasmine, I need to go ahead and begin investing today, I want to invite you to my Her Exit Plan stock list that is available. I'm very proud of this list because I wish it was something that existed whenever I was going through a tough time during postpartum with my first son and feeling like a failure because I could not keep up with life in the way that I had before. I could always just work an extra hour or do this or do that. Now it's different. This stock list is a starting point for you to understand how the stock market works, for you to get what it's like to purchase a stock, which ones to select. It gives you a guided system in order to use and know which stocks are performing the best and what you can do if you need to learn about a certain stock or maybe you need to make changes in your portfolio. All of that information is included. It is beginner friendly. It's the foundation for you to be able to understand the stock market itself. Stock market investing should not just be for the finance pros. Every woman deserves to have the opportunity to build assets. If you look in the description, you will find exactly how to grab that stock list. If this was encouraging for you, feel free to subscribe. I am uploading as many videos as possible while balancing motherhood too. And share it with a friend. If you know a mom that has been struggling with finances and needs something to do that is going to be easier on her time, make sure she listens to this. Now, here's a question that I would love for you all to answer and share in the comments. I read every single one. What is one financial skill you wish you had known before becoming a wife and a mom? I can't wait to hear from you all. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next video.